Good evening and welcome to the news at 10. His Royal Highness Crown Prince Hussein visited the Public Security Directorate, where he met with its Director Major General Ahmed Al-Faqih. The Crown Prince checked on plans related to the development and modernization of policing systems. He was also briefed on future plans and programs aiming at promoting security services offered to citizens and residents alike. His Royal Highness praised the advanced level the Directorate personnel enjoy in performing their duties, expressing his pride in efforts undertaken to help preserve citizens' security and safety. Minister of Foreign and Expatriates Affairs Ayman Safadi stressed the need to maintain all educational, health and relief services provided by UNRWA to Palestinian refugees. Safadi made his remarks as he met with UNRWA Commissioner General Pierre Krahenbuhl. Safadi, along with Krahenbuhl, highlighted the need to find a solution for the fiscal deficit UNRWA suffers from. The minister said enabling the UN agency to continue providing its services is an international responsibility towards the refugees. Separately, Safadi briefed his Malaysian counterpart Anif Aman on the outcome of the Arab ministerial meeting hosted by Jordan last week and tasked with dealing with the ramifications of the U.S. decision to recognize occupied Jerusalem as Israel's capital. During a telephone conversation, Safadi told Aman that the ministerial team will work with the international community to recognize a Palestinian state on the 1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. The two ministers agreed to continue coordination and consultation to resolve the Palestinian-Israeli conflict based on the two-state solution. Meanwhile, Israel has given final building approval for more than 1,110 new settlement homes in the occupied West Bank, said an anti-settlement movement. Peace Now spokeswoman said the latest housing projects were slated for settlements inside the West Bank in places that Israel would need to evacuate in case of a peace agreement. Hagit Afran added that this means Israel is trying to prevent a two-state solution. Earlier this week, the Israeli defense minister said authorities were due to advance planning for another 2,500 housing units in around 20 different settlements. To Syria, where rebels launched a counterattack against government forces and their allies in Idlib province, seeking to roll back an advance that is fueling tension with neighboring Turkey. The latest push by the army and its allies has alarmed Turkey, which has been deploying forces inside northern Idlib and setting up bases. The recent military escalation has included an unprecedented attack by a squadron of drones on Russian military bases that Russia said is investigating and which country produced explosives used in the attacks. On the eve of a sanctions ruling on Iran by the U.S. president, Britain, France and Germany called on Donald Trump to uphold a pact curbing Iran's nuclear ambitions. The U.S. Congress requires the president to periodically certify Iran's compliance and issue a waiver to allow U.S. sanctions to remain suspended. The next deadline is tomorrow. But in sharp contrast to Trump's view that the pact is the worst deal ever negotiated, the European foreign ministers said there was no alternative to it. Here's more.
Behind the croissants, fruit salad and small talk,
Split the assets in the UK.
a show of force for US eyes. European powers and Tehran coming together on Thursday to call on President Donald Trump to protect the Iran nuclear pact. Foreign ministers from Britain, France, Germany and the EU meeting with their Iranian counterpart. The language coming from here that the accord is essential, urging America to separate the deal from wider concerns about Iran's influence in the Middle East. Before the sit-down, British Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson described the pact as making the world safer. The deal aims to curtail Iran's nuclear program in exchange for lifting economic sanctions. But its future hangs in the balance, with Trump not sharing the positive sentiment. Last October he backed away from it, putting the US at odds with all other signatories. And as early as Friday, Trump could decide to reimpose oil sanctions on the Islamic Republic. Here, four of the powers behind the deal said Tehran had a right to benefit from the lifting of restrictions.
I don't think anybody has come up with a better idea. I think it's incumbent on those who oppose the JCPOA really to come up with that better solution.
Now all they can do is wait and see if the message has fallen on deaf ears.
Hundreds of hip-shaking and wig-wearing Elvis Presley and Priscilla lookalikes and fans of the late king of rock and roll took a train from Sydney bound for Australia's annual Elvis Festival in Parkes. The fans will be treated to a steady stream of Elvis-themed entertainment. In its 26th year, the festival is expected to attract about 25,000 people. To sports, Canadian Michael Kingsbury and Francis Perrine Lafont took top spots in the freestyle skiing moguls World Cup in Deer Valley, Utah. Kingsbury's score of 87.33 was enough to secure victory, the 47th of his career, making the 25-year-old the all-time leader in mogul ski wins. In the women's event, it was Perrine Lafont who came away victorious with a score of 81.88 and her fourth World Cup win. And finally, for a look at the weather. It will remain relatively cold across the kingdom with southeasterly light to southwesterly moderate winds. Amman tomorrow can expect a high of 14 degrees Celsius, dropping down to 5 at night. Meanwhile, in the Gulf of Aqaba, warm conditions prevail with a high of 25 degrees, sliding down to 8 at night. And with this, we come to the end of this edition of the news. I'm Alia Tuqan. Thank you for joining us. Have a good night and a great weekend.